Alright, this is EO here, coming to you live from nowhere. I recently went and saw Riddick, Vin Diesel's new movie. I had initially had my reservations about doing a review on it because I do love the first movie so much. The second movie, you know, it's okay, and I actually really like it too. And then for anybody who actually listens to these, I didn't want to suffer the fallout in case I started bad mouthing it. But to my surprise, it is a fantastic movie. I guess I'll start out with the directorial stuff and move into the actors and visual effects and stuff like I've been doing on the last couple. Also, thank you to anybody who has been viewing my movie reviews. This is still relatively new at this. I've been reviewing them, on my own for quite a while, but only been recording them here for probably about a month now. I've only done about 5 reviews, as you've seen, anybody who's viewed my page. So I hope you're liking them. Feel free to post suggestions below on movies you want reviewed. If you have questions, I'm not the all-seeing, all-knowing authority on movies, but I've got a general knowledge of some of the stuff, so if I can help you, pop a question down there, and I'll see what I can do about getting back to you. But let's get on into Riddick. Pitch Black, the first movie in this, came out in 2000, if I'm right. Initially, I don't think this movie got much publicity for Pitch Black anyway. I remember when it came out, and I remember seeing a few trailers, and I was like, oh, that looks cool. And it was relatively new, really, for the sci-fi horror. The only other real, sci-fi horror that I can think of that's really, really well done is Event Horizon. And it's much different pace. It's much more science fiction in the sense of the actual science. But Pitch Black's a fantastic movie. Chronicles of Riddick came out 4 years later, in 2004. A much different movie. Going back to the first movie, we see Vin Diesel talk about the fact that he got a cybernetic glaze job on his eyes. He tells the kid Jack in the first movie. So we go through the movie thinking, oh, okay, so that's so he can see his enemies sneaking up on him in the dark, is what the kid says. Well, it really makes me wonder. For anybody who doesn't know, all 3 movies, including this new one, were directed by Dave Tweley. I think that's how you pronounce it. Really, I think he got pretty good feedback on the first movie. And the question is, at least in my mind, I'm wondering how many other people have thought this, is when he made that first movie and made the comment in the screenplay of him having that cybernetic glaze job. The first movie and the second movie are remarkably different animals, and with the second movie going into the whole, he's not human, he's a Furian. Pitch Black seems to suggest that possibly Tweley was surprised with its success and then was shitting bricks, pardon my French, on what the hell do I do as a sequel, and then started to move it into more of kind of a fanciful science fiction where he's more than human. It certainly seems to suggest that, and he does answer that in the second movie with Kira, aka Jack from the first movie, who has somehow grown up into this hot Alexa Davalos, who plays her. Mentions that she looked everywhere to see somebody, she couldn't get eyes like that, and then that's when you get into the Furian thing in the second one. So it really makes me wonder if Tweley really kind of took the franchise in a different angle than he had initially intended, or when he made the movie he had no intention of really making another one, or he hadn't thought it through enough to say, oh, what do I do? You know, you have this, essentially, you know, this murderer, which was enough. Like, him being human. Not that I mind him taking it in the alien direction, but this lost kind of badass race in a sense. But that's just something that I've seen and wonder about. Maybe we'll never know. There doesn't seem to be a lot out there on that. Let's move into the new movie, because that's what this review is about. Riddick. What to say about Riddick? Like I said, again, directed by David Twohy. This is a character who, as far as I can tell, Vin Diesel really enjoys playing. I think, honestly, from everything that I've looked at and everything I've read, he may be the sole, not necessarily the sole one responsible, but the major driving force in getting this movie made. You can tell on screen, for a character who's very dark and really isn't, a humorous character, he has great charisma. And so, I mean, it's evident that he loves playing this character. I mean, if he's come back for 3 movies, he obviously enjoys something about it. But it would surprise me if anyone but him was at the heading of this, other than maybe Dave Twohy. But in this movie, he plays a, that takes place after the events of Chronicles of Riddick, after he's got the Underverse army, takes place after that, and they tie that up pretty quick in the first of the movie. Here's your massive spoiler alert. If you have not seen this movie and want to see this movie unspoiled, stop here. You have been warned. So moving on, they tie this up very quickly with a quick Vaco Carl Urban cameo, and really makes me wonder if they took footage from the second movie and placed him in there, or if Carl Urban did come back for just a small scene that he is, cut his hair in that weird freaking way, and show up on the balcony to mince words with Riddick real quick. It really makes you wonder. Essentially, they have a quick discussion. Riddick doesn't want the army. Riddick wants to go to Furia, his home planet, and find it. Supposedly it is lost. They deleted it from the memory banks of the Underverse ship and everything, because they're so scared of the Furians, and everything. But Vaco knows where it is because he's been around long enough. So he makes a deal with Riddick to send him with a ship and escort him to Furia. Well, they escort him to a planet, but it's not Furia. It's, some other world, pretty much a dead world. And the soldiers are, betray him, try to kill him, and he ends up getting pretty badly hurt. And that is all you will see of Carl Urban. There's no no follow-up on that. He gets the army in return for putting Riddick on that planet, for taking him to Furia, which he, of course, doesn't honor. But that's what he wants. So there is no reprisal of Thandie Newton's part in this, which I'm not really surprised. No Judi Dench. So anyway, the movie starts out actually with Riddick on this planet, and he's pretty well compound fractured his lower leg, and is in bad shape after taking a tumble off of a cliff. For the first third of the movie, it really is a survival movie, and that's the part that has the most power by far. We see a Riddick who, even in his monologues in the movie, say that he's gone and got civilized, is how he puts it. He hasn't been out living in the wastes, being chased for so many years, because he was on this ship with the necromongers. There it is. There's finally the term. I finally remembered it. So he's gotten soft in a sense, and it's him surviving. It's him really just trying to survive on this planet until he can find a way off. He befriends a weird alien dog of some sort, finds it as a puppy, raises it, and so they give him a dog in this movie, which is really cool. The CGI in this movie for the dog is amazing. I really liked that they did that because they gave him some sort of companionship, and with Riddick being always a loner, you wouldn't think animal friendly. But really, I mean, it's good that they do that. They give him a sense to really show that there is some human in him, you know, some human fury and whatever you want to call it, some mix of that. Moving on to the other cast. I'll touch on Vin here real quick. He's very good in this again. Some of the dialogue that they give him in here, or that he may have wrote, seems a little, I mean, just a few lines. There's not a lot. There's just a tiny few lines that don't really fit Riddick's character so much. But I mean, they're minor gripes, really. For the most part, you know, he does a good job. You can definitely tell Vin's not a young guy anymore. You know, he's showing his age a little in this, which is good. I like that they aged the character. I like that they don't try to continue. You know, he doesn't have to be Hugh Jackman, who has to look ripped because he's Wolverine and he regenerates, and he's not going to get much older. He doesn't have to do that. So I mean, you can see in the way he moves, the way he looks on camera, he looks a little heavier. And that's actually a good thing. And I wonder if that was pre-planned, or whether Vin just goes, hey, you know what, I'm older, I'll do my best to get fit. If I don't make it, big deal. Who knows? Either way, it works. And so, no complaint there. I really enjoyed it. The other cast members. Okay. We have a ton of faces in this movie. The actor who is in Apocalypto and was in Cowboys and Aliens, played the Indian, and then played the head Mayan, or you know, Aztec guy. Sorry, I'm not really good on on that Native American culture there, but the head one in Apocalypto. He's in here, plays one of the mercs. He's, you know, only a small part, but he's actually pretty good. Another person of interest is, I have no idea what this dude's name is. I should have looked it up before I did the review. But, Latin American actor. Was in Bad Boys 2, played the character of Johnny Tapia. It's been in several other movies. And as always, I mean, I always find the guy likable. He plays a good scumbag character, like he really does. In this, he plays this scumbag mercenary, and he really is very good. Like they give him a lot to do, and that actually works well in the movie. The context of the movie, and it gives the movie. He's funny in here. Like he's kind of this sour, you know, not creepy, but sour and you know, skanky, you know, mercenary. So he's good. Bokeem Woodbine is in this as well, who's appeared in Total Recall, The Rock, you know, countless other movies. Always seems to kind of get a supporting role. He's only in here for a short while too. Plays a little supporting role as one of the mercs too. But he's good in what he has too. The real surprise in this is Dave Bautista. Yes, the WWE Batista. He's really good in here. He's as much as wrestling is acting, and acting, you know, is wrestling. I mean, I don't watch it, but you can see he's got some charisma on camera, and they give him some good lines. He really does kind of make the character, who I have no idea what his name is. I probably just didn't catch it, but regardless of that, I find myself liking his character. He's good in what he has to do. Plays kind of the tough guy merc, the right-hand man to the Johnny Tapia guy. and very solid. They actually give him some of the best lines in the movie. I mean, really. Other than the actor who played Johnny Tapia in Bad Boys 2 has a line in this movie that I seriously, and everyone in the theater, I don't think there was a single person that didn't laugh at this, has this line where they're trying to decide how to get off the planet and survive these creatures that are attacking, and I'll get into that later. And he says, what are we doing, playing retard bingo? And I mean, everybody in the theater cracked up laughing. I mean, it literally, his delivery, everything in that line was hilarious. Probably one of the best moments in the movie. But moving on, Katie Sackhoff is in this movie. For all you nerd crushes, myself included. Little tidbit that I've seen, it's probably hearsay, but so take it with a grain of salt. Reportedly, maybe Katie Sackhoff may or may not have been approached to play Carol Danvers, Miss Marvel. We'll see. Who knows what's going on there? But back to Riddick here. The technology in here is very cool. They have these neat little like hover bikes with rotary engines in them, like the kind of, they look like big jet turbines. Very cool. I liked it. It's simple, but it's kind of cool. Real quick before I move on any further there's one character I did leave out. The only character which I felt was out of place in a large part is the plot has a small subplot in the leader of the other mercs that Katie Sackhoff is the second in command of, is headed up by a guy named Johns, and he clearly states that. He's like, "Oh, what's your name?" "My name's Johns." And anybody who's seen Pitch Black will immediately make the connection. I did. Probably everybody in that theater did, maybe, except for a couple. And immediately I'm like, "Oh, this must be his brother." He's trying to find Riddick because he wants vengeance. And I thought it was a pretty good guess. I'm guessing probably half that theater thought the same thing. And then you find out that it's Johns' dad. It's Johns' father, which completely threw me for a loop. For the sake of that, the actor that plays him looks the same age as Cole Hauser did when he played Johns in the first Pitch Black. And if this movie takes place, we'll go by movie time, or we'll go by however much time was in the movie, which I'm not sure. But if you want to go by movie time, I mean, it's been 9 years between the Chronicles of Riddick and Riddick. 4 years between Pitch Black and Chronicles of Riddick. So, I mean, this dad would be in his 50s, you're guessing, at the very least, aged. And this guy that plays him, this actor, I don't know what the actor's name is. He didn't do a bad job. I just thought he was miscast. He doesn't act like a father. He acts like someone seeking the truth. I mean, he's very in control the whole movie. Like, he's not like he doesn't always try to come and like beat up Riddick, even when they have him captive. Like, he throws a punch at him and hits him once. But he's kind of just all about the screaming and like, "Oh, I want to find out what happened to my brother," because like he literally doesn't know. Like, he knows that he crash landed on the planet with Riddick and that he didn't make it off the planet. And so the subplot of the movie is that he's trying to find Riddick, wants him alive because he just wants to find out what happened to his son, And I don't know if I buy that because, he assumes Riddick kills him, and even if you're assuming that, you're not going to be as casual about asking him what happened as this guy does. He doesn't put a knife to his throat and say, "Hey, tell me what happened." You're worth. Riddick is also in this movie worth like double the amount if he's dead. So they kind of flip it on its, flip the normal thing on its head. So if that being said, he's gonna ask him and he's gonna kill him. And in no time in this movie do I feel like he is going to end Riddick's life, like except at the end, which I will get to that too. But I mean, enough about that. Really, I'm carrying on. But that's one of the few parts that I found were very very out of place. The actor doesn't in there, not to negate his performance. I mean, he does fine, but he's just miscast. You know, if you put, oh, I'm Johns, I'm the brother of the character that Cole Hauser plays in Pitch Black, I could totally buy that. That would actually be very good. But instead, they did the father, and I don't know why Dave Twillie did that. He kind of screwed the pooch on that part. But essentially, as I said, like the first third of the movie is Riddick by himself trying to survive on this planet. The Mercs arrive because Riddick finds this Merc station that's available to all Mercs that are flowing around in the solar system, and activates the beacon to kind of lure people in so he can get a ship and get the heck off the planet. So the second half of the movie is all, or not the second half, I should say the second third of the movie is him dealing with the Mercs. They're hunting him on this planet. He's picking a few of them off here and there, and then the movie turns into Pitch Black. Yep, you heard me right. I said it. It turns into Pitch Black. The movie up to this point, they find that he turns himself in because there's this storm coming, and when the rain falls, there's these monsters that have buried themselves in the ground. Sound familiar? But only come out when it's wet, when it's raining. That you see them when he's trying to survive early on in the movie, that they kind of camp out in pools and like catch their prey like alligators. If the person comes to drink, they attack. So then the rain falls, and it turns out that there's like millions of these things buried in this dry earth until the rain is come. And when the rain comes, they start attacking the facility, and it's the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Bit where Riddick teams up with the mercenaries that are alive and such, and so it really is Pitch Black after that. The last third of the movie, is Pitch Black with trained mercenaries as opposed to just refugees, which I mean, it doesn't fail per se. I mean, I enjoyed it. It's nice to see people who can defend themselves against these monsters, that have cool guns and have cool tech. But the sniper rifle that Katie Sackhoff uses in this movie is freaking cool. She has all these different kinds of rounds, like barium tracer rounds and explosive rounds, trank rounds, and you get to see her use a lot of these rounds, which is really cool. It was a real cool concept. So you like to see capable people trying to defend themselves as opposed to sheep, like in the first movie. But as cool as that is, Twillie really screwed it up a little bit because, I mean, after the first 2/3 of the movie, then it's Pitch Black again. And anybody who's seen the first movie is either going to love it for that reason or hate it for that reason, because although I love Pitch Black, that's Pitch Black. Like, in Pitch Black you get the horror sci-fi angle. Chronicles of Riddick, you get more of the action sci-fi angle. And in this one, it seems like Dave Twillie doesn't know what he wants. You start out with the survival aspect, then the action in the middle, and then changes it into a horror movie, in a sense, where they're trying to defend themselves from these creatures. So it's like all three movies rolled into one, and staggered, which, I mean, is the terrible way to do a movie. I mean, I don't know. Maybe he just ran out of ideas. Maybe he just went back to what worked, in a sense. And I don't know how much say Vin Diesel had on this as well. I like to think, he's definitely becoming popular again. He kind of fell off there after the Fast and the Furious and some other movies, like A Man Apart and those kinds, which is a great movie if you have not seen A Man Apart with Vin in it. Excellent movie. Great cop drama. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how much say Vin had on this. I thought I saw his name in the screenwriting and I know I saw his name in the production, but yeah, it would be interesting to see how much of this movie he had to say in now, with Dave Twohy, really needing him to play the character. So the movie suffers in that, at least in my regard. I mean, I want to see something new. I've seen Pitch Black, and you do see some stuff new, like I said early on in the movie. But I don't know. The characters also, or the creatures also seem kind of similar, even really, to the first creatures. It seems like they see really well at night, just like the originals. They make sounds just like kind of the originals, only I think it's more of like a clicking sound. But I don't know. I mean, it's a gripe, but I still enjoyed the movie. There's a lot more comedy in this one as opposed to the others. There's a lot more slapstick comedy in a sense, like one-liners. Your old school one-liners from that. There's a lot of that in there, which is good. It helped the movie. It actually, it brought it back into that tones. If you're getting too dark, pop a one-liner in there, then go back to your dark, which worked. The biggest gripe I had with this movie is honestly the ending. I'm gonna totally ruin it for everybody, but I've already called spoiler alert, so it's your problem now. There's a moment when Vin Riddick he gets really badly wounded. Manages to cauterize the wound and is literally fighting for his life in a horde of these, crawling up this almost 45-degree mountain, like this kind of rock projection. Literally, he's cornered. He's boxed in. He's fighting with his weapon. Some really cool weapons in this. This big old, almost like stone butcher cleaver almost that he uses. So he's killing these things one by one, eventually down to his fists. And I mean, literally, he's got one on top of him, about ready to leave. The John's character, they've got the power cells that they went after, and Johns leaves him. Gets the power cells in the ship, and this is the same Johns that Riddick has eventually come clean and told him what the hell happened to the son. It tells him he didn't really kill him. He wounded him, and the creatures killed him. In the first movie, if you remember. This guy, there's no way he would come back for Riddick. That is the worst thing. He comes back for Riddick. Katie Sackhoff and the John's character managed to get the ship, pour in, she propels down and grabs him. You get this barrage of artillery fire from this ship that just takes out an entire swath of these creatures. I mean, everything from white phosphorus to explosive flechette rounds to just everything. It just comes out of nowhere. So they save him. I don't get the justification. You get early on that Riddick kind of has this casual banter with Katie Sackhoff's character. This sexual tension, weird sexual tension for one, because they don't know each other. She knows he's a murderer, and I don't know. There are stranger things that have been done, I guess. But that alone doesn't justify the fact that they came back for him. There's no way she's gonna go, well, let's go back for him, and convince John's character to come back for him. And John's character, if he's his character, would not come back for this guy either. They've got the ship, they would have just left. So, there's a big banter in the movie about, is John's gonna have a spine, unlike his son? And that if he's gonna honor his debt. And, I'm not dumb. I know that the reason, he saves him is he's honoring his part of the deal. They're gonna give him the other ship, Riddick the other ship, so he can leave. Okay, that's fine, but you have no justification for it, because no guy's going to do that. If he's kind of responsible for your son's death, sorry, that card ain't going to work. But that's not the only problem I have with the ending. The ending really is, you see them both flying off in the ships, they kind of hover there and talk over the intercom a sec, and Um, and it's implied that since Riddick has his own ship now, that he's headed off to Furia. He's going to go find Furia. Even though, how would he know where it was unless one of those guys that betrayed him early on told him the actual location and then took him someplace else? I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking way too into it, but that or he's going to go off and kill Vaco for betraying him. But the movie really doesn't have any resolution. Like, he gets his own ship and that's it. Like, he flies off. Literally, that's it. So, I don't know. I mean, if Dave Twohy and Vin are going to do another one, which is definitely going to depend on how well this movie does in the box office. I think it was slated to hit about 20 million on this box office weekend, which was by all means a slow weekend. So I think it was going to get the top spot, which, I mean, is good. It is. I don't know what the budget of this movie was, but I think it was probably pretty high. I mean, I don't know, 60, 70 million maybe. I mean, maybe it's more, maybe it's less. I don't know. But it's going to have to rake in some numbers, I think, if they're going to do a fourth one. So, anyway, pretty solid movie. I mean, you know, I think I actually honestly liked it better in a lot of spots than I did in the second one. It's a fun movie. Definitely is a fun movie. I had a lot of fun watching it. Really enjoyed it. At no time was I bored. Yeah, I mean, if you're a fan of the first two, you will like this movie probably, at least up to the, like, a little past the halfway point. Until it starts getting into pitch black territory, which then you will either go, oh my god, it's the same old thing, or you'll be like, oh, it's kind of like pitch black. So you'll probably fall into two different categories there. But regardless of what you think, whether it's repetitive and kind of, you know, unoriginal in that third part, you know, it's still a fun flick. I'd give it a solid 3.5 out of 5 if I was going to have to do it on a star system. You know, so you know, go see the movie if you're a fan of Vin Diesel or Riddick, and you should have a pretty fun time. I know I did. But I'll talk to you later. I'm out.